Welcome to Picks and Parlays here on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network, also streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. I'm your host, Nick Geber. Find me, it's not too difficult, folks, it's at Nick Geber. That's right, that's my Twitter handle. I believe that's what they call it. So Twitter me. Love to hear from you. Happy Tuesday, December the 17th. Today is Maple Syrup Day. So, personally, I have to tell you, I love maple syrup. From the deep recesses of my soul, I love maple syrup. Today, Maple Syrup Day, so we're all celebrating, and we're going to celebrate with some big wins today. Got some great cappers in to talk about some of the big games. Coming up, let's talk a little basketball. NBA, more specifically, with the Triple B himself, Bookie Blaster Brown. Tony B joins us here in the studio. And then we're going to talk some bowls. We got two bowls to talk about, the world-famous Camellia Bowl and then the New Mexico Bowl. We'll also talk a little NCAA basketball with Tony L. Tigre Tellez. And finally, no show would be complete without a full platter of NFL football for you to choose from. That's right, a veritable smorgasbord of free picks in the NFL today. Joe Duffy will join me, and we will talk Saints. We'll talk by speaking properly, first of all. Texans, Bucks, Saints, Titans, Ravens, Browns, and the Rams, Niners. Those are the NFL games that we're going to talk about as I sip. I'm not telling you what's in here from my brand new Picks and Parlays studio mug. Let me tell you what a difference a studio mug makes. Delicious. Okay, lots of stuff to get to today, but I have to tell you, we're going to give you a lot of free picks on this show. Be sure to write them down, unless you're driving, of course, then don't be a numpty, all right? But you can always get them on this show. We have replays, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and on the podcast network, Believe Podcasts. Have to tell you very quickly, we have an absolutely wonderful deal, given that we've got about 40-plus bowl games coming up. We have a bowl special. That's right, expert picks from one capper, a bowl special $1.99. But hold on, wait a minute, it gets better. Add one more capper for just an extra $100. That's right, one capper $1.99, two cappers $2.99. You're going to get all the picks you need for this great college bowl season. All right, I'm going to step aside, take a very quick break, and be right back, joined right here in the studio. He doesn't have a mug, by the way, by Triple B. NBA when we come back after this. Welcome back to the show, Picks and Parlays. I'm Nick Geber. You've been waiting for some NBA basketball, and I did promise it to you. By the way, if you're listening to us on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network, we welcome you to the show. And if you're watching our live streams, which we do throughout the day, we welcome you as well to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We'd love to hear from you during the show. Feel free to comment and fill out the comment section. We'll see it here in the studio, and our great production team will put it up on the screen, and I'll do my best to answer it. And once again, as I say every week, rude is okay, but just not too rude. And what that boundary is, by the way, I don't know. We're kind of writing the rules, the rude rules, as we go along. All right. I promised to bring him in, and I've done that. And joining me in the set without a mug, because he doesn't qualify for one of these fine Picks and Parlays studio mugs right here, our expert Kappa Triple B, Tony Brown. Tony, how's it going?
It's going okay. I wish I had a mug, but other than that, it's okay.
I'll tell you what, you go perfect on these 4 picks, then I'll ask the boss. He'll think about it. Okay?
All right, let's do it then.
All right, let's start, shall we? Let's start with the Kings Hornets. The Kings 12-14, 16-10 against the spread. Been a mixed season so far for the Kings, coming off a 100-79 win over Golden State. 6-9 straight up and 11-4 against the spread, away from home, that is. The good news is the likely return of DeAndre Fox. They're 15-5 against the spread, the last 20 in the Hornets. 12-17, 14-1 to make it easy against the spread. They lost 85-107 to the Pacers. That snapped a 3-game winner for them. 6-8 straight up, 7-7 against the spread at home. They're 7-3, last 10 in the series. Batum is likely to return, but Marvin Williams, is out.
Yeah.
But Marvin Williams is back, so that's...
Possibly.
I hear he's back. I called him earlier. Okay. He said he's back.
Well, then,
with a vengeance.
Okay, well, he's back.
Okay, they're under in the last 8 games. I got Kings, Kings, actually, favorites on the road favorites, 4.5 points, total 207 points. If you want a mug, you got to earn it. So let's make some money on this one.
All right, let's do it. We're going to go with the Kings in this one. It's purely a number play. Both of these teams have been playing like up and down, middle of the road basketball. However, good teams win and great teams cover. The Kings are 15-5 in the last 20 against the spread. Even better, they're 7-1 in their last 8 against the spread on the road. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We're just going to stick with the Kings in that one. However, I also like the total. This is just a little bonus play out there for you guys. I want to go under 207. Batum is gone for Charlotte, and maybe, Nick said he talked to him.
Yeah,
but
personally.
You never know. Williams might be returning. And then the Kings, they're not a firehouse team. They like to play a lot of good defense. They like to get it in the half court, and they have a returning star as well coming back. And so it's going to be a lot of, shaky offense in this one. I don't think they're going to both break the 100 mark. So I take the Kings with the total, and I take the under in this game.
And the Hornets have been under in the last 8 games. So
both of these teams, Hornets 8 straight in the under, and then for the last 2 games, both of these teams have been going under. So the under's trending bad in this one.
All right, so go with the under. Good recommendation. Maybe there's a mug in it for you.
Let's see.
Next up, let's see. Let's do the Lakers Pacers. Lakers, my team, 24-3, 16-11 against the spread. They're on a 9-1 blinding run right now. Most recently beating Atlanta 101-96. They're 14-1 straight up, 8-7 against the spread away from Staples. Rondo is likely to be back, but Anthony Davis and Kyle Kuzma, maybe they're question marks. And I haven't called them, but maybe during the break I'll give them a ring. We'll see what's happening. They've been under in 8 of 12. The Pacers 18-9, 14-11-2 against the spread. The 3-game win streak. Last outing was a win over the Hornets. Speaking of the devil, 11-3, 7-5-2 against the spread at home. Diamantis Sabonis is a question mark, and they are under in 6 of the last 7. Okay, so I don't have a total on this one, but I do have the Lakers as road favorites, and that's not a surprise. What is a surprise? It's only 2.5 points.
Well, it's because, like you said, there's a question mark with Anthony Davis and Kyle Kuzma. I talked to both of them personally.
Oh, are they coming?
Well, Anthony Davis is going to play. Kyle Kuzma is questionable.
Okay, but how about to the party later?
No, they're both going to miss the party for the
They're not coming here to Vegas?
Not tonight.
They love to come to
Vegas.
Vegas.
They do,
What's
but they
wrong
need
with
this
them?
game, man. The Lakers are number one in the NBA.
We're going over to that place in Pahrump.
Yeah, we're still both invited.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Keep
Just
it low.
check
This
it.
is
All
on
right.
air. But yeah, no, the Lakers are they're number 1 in the league. They only have 3 losses, and they only have 1 loss on the road. So even without Kuzma, even without Davis, I think LeBron can take this team out by itself. It's only a 2-point spread, so that's basically money line. Lakers just need to win by a bucket.
Hey,
This was you don't need a capper for this one.
Goat Man can always get it done, right?
You know what I mean? LeBron the GOAT by himself, and then if he has any help, he can get me, you, and Craig off the streets and win the championship.
That's right. My 11-year-old. By the way, happy birthday, Daniel. Turned 11 on Sunday.
Shout out to Daniel, big Dan the man.
Let's do next one. Orlando Magic versus the Utah Jazz. Orlando 12-4, 11-14-1 against the spread. The 130-119 win over the Pelicans. That snapped a 2-game loser for them. 4-8 straight up, 7-5 against the spread on the road, 5-0 against the spread in the last 5 games on the road as well.
Right.
So that's kind of interesting number there. The Jazz, they're on a 2-game winner, recording a 114-106 victory over the Warriors. Mike Conley's doubtful with a hamstring injury. They've gone over in 4 of the last 5. Let's see. They're the home favorites, 6.5-point home favorites. Total pointage, 206. I've not called any of these guys to find out if they're really injured or not, but I'm just going to take their word for it.
Yeah, I don't know anybody from the Jazz or the Magic, so I'm going to have to take the word on the injury report for that one. However, I think I'm going to go with the Jazz. Orlando only beats the bad teams. Like you said, they have a recent win over New Orleans. They have a recent win over Golden State, which both teams rank at the bottom of the league in the NBA. And before that, they dropped 3 straight. Lakers, Houston, Milwaukee, teams that rank at the top of the NBA. So it's just like you got to go with the trends in this one. It's still early in the season. We don't have so much to go on where we watched them. Bunch of injuries. They're losing to all the good teams, winning against the bad ones. And Utah definitely isn't a bad team. At home, -5.5. I like it.
It's 6.5.
6.5.
Yeah.
That changes it. No, I'm just kidding. Just a slip of the tongue. 6.5, 5.5. I think Utah gets this one by double digits, so we shouldn't have no problem.
You sly devil, you. Okay, next up, Phoenix Suns versus the LA Clippers. The Phoenix, true mid-table mediocrity, as we like to say in the football world. 11-14, 14-10-1 against the spread. They're on a 2-game winless streak. They lost 119-121 to the Spurs. They're 5-5 straight up. They're 7-3 against the spread, both of those away from home. DeAndre Ayton returns after a 25-game drug suspension. Actually, you know what's interesting is the drug he took was what they give racehorses to. What's it called? It's a diuretic.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm not sure what it's called.
Not like he's, not like he's, I don't know.
Like out there on crank or nothing like Lamar Odom. It's not like he's taking performance enhancers to make him better, like a diuretic. But I mean, maybe like the MLB, they'll get, smart with this stuff. The MLB just let the pot ban go, and the players now know more marijuana, stupid stuff.
And most of them are stoned. That's why they don't catch the ball as well. But okay, that's fine. You lose your job, and that's it. All right, so the Clippers 20-8. Where was it that Lamar went? That was that place in Pahrump.
In Pahrump,
Are we
right.
going
The
there
same
afterwards?
place we used to go.
We're good. Oh, by the way,
we're still on air.
Renegade Reed says, Lakers, you don't need a capper for this one thing. Oh, nice picture. It's kind of scary, but okay, good. All right, let's see. Back to the Clippers. They're coming off 106-109 loss to the Bulls. They're 13-1 straight up, 10-4 against the spread at home. Lou Williams, this is bad news to them. Lou Williams, Patrick Beverley, and JaMychal Green are all doubtful for the Clippers. So they do have some injury problems. No points on this one, but they are big favorites at 12.5 points, and we'll have to talk about that Pahrump thing in a second.
Okay, cool. All right, let's get this game over with so we can do that. I'm going to go ahead and talk about this one, and we're going to take Phoenix with the 12. Don't get overboard. They're not going to win. I don't think they can beat the Clippers outright, even with all those injuries.
Yep.
But with all those injuries, and those were some of their main defensive players, Lou Williams and Patrick Beverley, those are stoppers. Lou Williams, 6th man of the year, like perpetual 6th man of the year last 10 years in a row. He can start anywhere on any team. These are devastating losses for the Clippers. Not devastating enough for them to lose to a Phoenix team, but Phoenix can score. They can't win a lot. They don't play much defense, but, man, they can put the ball in the bucket. So 13 points is a whole bunch of points. I think Phoenix keeps it a lot closer than that, and they get the cover, but the Clippers get the win. So take Phoenix with the points, or Clippers on the money line if you're into some type of parlay action.
All right, there you have it, Triple B. Triple B, you and I will be heading out to the Lamar Odom specialty location in Pahrump later on.
Cannot wait. Can't wait.
All right, there you have it. Triple B, basketball picks from the man here at picksandparlays.net. Check him out on the website, and we do have a special going on for the bowl season. I'll tell you about it when we get back right here, Picks and Parlays. Welcome back to the show, Picks and Parlays. I know you couldn't wait for me to come back. The seat of your pants. Well, I'm here, folks. Never fear. And if you want to talk to me during the week, you can do that. Find me on Twitter, right there. You can see it right below. Whoops, right there. At Nick Geber. By the way, if you're listening to us on the radio, you can also watch us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We'd love to see you there or hear you there or whatever it is we do. But we can hear you in the studio. Fill out the comment section. Our wonderful production team will see it, put it up on the screen, just like in the last segment, and I'll comment on it. Now, we have a mixed bag coming up next. We're going to do a couple of bowls for you because it is bowl season, and a couple of college basketball games because it is also college basketball season. Now, before we get going here and bring on our special guest, Tony Tellez, I just want to tell you, because he gets embarrassed when I say this in front of him, he's one of our best cappers we have, and right now, you can get his picks at picksandparlays.net. We have a special for the bowl season. That's right, every bowl game, one capper is $1.99, but if you throw in another hundy, you get two cappers for $2.99. You cannot beat that deal anywhere, and get the picks for the bowl season. All right, now let's bring him on so he's not embarrassed. Tony Tellez, welcome.
Hey, pleasure to be here, Nick. Talk some college hoops, some college football. Get excited now, the bowls starting on Friday.
Yeah, let's do it, shall we? Let's start with the college football bowls because, well, it's bowl season. There's bowls aplenty for everybody, and some of these are some of the most well-known and famous bowls ever. Let's start with the slightly more well-known one, the New Mexico Bowl, which will see Central Michigan play SDSU Aztecs. Central Michigan 8-5, 9-3-1 against the spread just 1 year ago. This team was 1-11. Now they're 8-5. You know, it's not all that much better. I mean, it's not like they're, it's not like they're 11-1. But okay, they lost the MAC championship 26-21. They got to the New Mexico Bowl though, largely on the back of their quarterback Quinton Domardi, who transferred, did 3 years at Tennessee. So he was kind of like a mercenary, got the training at Tennessee, came back, knocked him dead there. SDSU 9-3, 7-5 against the spread. 10th straight bowl game, fourth in the nation in defense, allowing just 12.8 points per game. Quarterback issues, though, that's a question mark, as Ray Agnew sat out the last game and a redshirt freshman had to take over. So I have San Diego 3.5-point road favorites here, or not road favorites, it's a bowl, 3.5-point favorites, total 41. Tony T, what do you think of this one?
Yeah, you mentioned there with the defense with San Diego State. I'm going to continue to play the San Diego State team to go under total here at 41. As you mentioned, the Aztecs defense has been outstanding. Giving up just 286 yards per game. They come off a 13-3 win to BYU. Held the Cougars just 3 points. You go back and look at the prior game here against Hawaii, a really bad defensive team. They could only score 11 on Hawaii. And defensively, they held the Rainbow Warriors to only 14 points. And, of course, UNLV team, we know how bad they are. They could only score 20 on them. So, Central Michigan, they pretty much faced an average defense in the MAC title game. Miami pushed across just 21 points and lost. We saw them against a really good defensive team in Miami. They could only push across 12 points. Of course, with these MAC teams, you better go game by game with them because there's a lot of bad teams in the MAC, and you kind of got to throw out. It's kind of like horse racing when you got some of these claimers. You got to throw those races out. You got to throw some of these games out and not factor them into your handicap. And you'll find when Central Michigan faced the better defensive teams, their offenses were really limited. So Ryan Agnew looks like they're going to go with them. Rocky Long wants to play a senior in his final game for San Diego State, even though he's not as effective, only averaging 6.4 yards per pass attempt. Charles Baker will not get the start here. Could see some play if Agnew's ineffective, but still, I'm going to take the under 41 in this one.
Well, and I'll be honest with you, some of these teams that go to some of these bowl games, to use the horse racing analogy, are so poor and so underperforming that they should probably be carted off to the glue factory. But let's move along, shall we? Next one up, it's the world-famous, world-renowned Camellia Bowl, starring the FIU Panthers and Arkansas State. FIU 6-6, 4-8 against the spread. Struggled away from home, just 0-4 straight up. Yet there they are in a bowl game at 6-6. You know this is going to be a humdinger. Second to last in Conference USA East Division, yet here they are in a bowl game. Okay, Arkansas State 7-5, 5-7 against the spread. 9th straight bowl game. They do have a game changer, though, in wide receiver Omar Bayless, who's second in the country. He's got 84 receptions, 1,473 receiving yards, 16 touchdowns. Both teams have played to the over, though, in 18 of the last 27. So we've got a lot of points on this one, 62.5, Tony. And Arkansas State are the favorites, 2.5 points.
Yeah, I prefer the Arkansas State side laying the 2.5 here. I just prefer their offense. You know, the game will be played in Montgomery, Alabama, and may not be the liking of FIU, that Florida team having to travel there. But the Red Wolves, you mentioned the receiver, and the quarterback is pretty good. Lane Hatcher.
Montgomery, Alabama. It's all hot and humid with a lot of bugs.
In the wintertime.
Oh,
it's a little different. Red Wolves quarterback Lane Hatcher, 6 touchdowns, no picks over his past 2 games. You know, when you look at Hatcher over the year, 68% completion rating, averaging nearly 10 yards per completed pass, and just the better offense production from this Arkansas State team, averaging nearly 34 points and 305 yards through the air. Now, you said how did FIU land here? Remember, some of these Conference USA teams, there's some really bad teams in Conference USA, and they beat just about every one of them in UTEP, Old Dominion. They also beat up on UMass, a horrible team, and they actually put in an FCS school on their schedule in New Hampshire. So pretty much 4 bogus wins for FIU, and I just like the Red Wolves, how they close out the season, winning 4 of their final 5, and not a very accurate quarterback there for FIU, and James Morgan, just 58% completion rate when you face a lot of bad teams on your schedule. I don't like that. I'll go ahead and lay Arkansas State -2.5.
Well, they had 4 wins against bad teams. They only had 6 wins, so it's not saying an awful lot.
No, it's not. And of course, you only need 6 wins to get in. Of course, we know these bowl games are made for TV, and they will, it's funny. I hear some of the odds makers talk about some of these. You see a lot of these MAC games, these Sun Belt games during the week. They get so much more handle than a Laker game will get. So that's the reason why they play these games, just to get a lot of eyeballs. People just love football, even though it's bad football. As I'll say this every time, bad football is better than no football.
Okay. Take it as you want it. All right, move along. Let's go to some basketball. This is really the tale of the GAC brothers. Oh, dear. Let's talk Providence, Florida. Providence 6-5, 3-8 against the spread. Last outing was 82-78 win over Stony Brook. They're 1-2 straight up, 0-3 against the spread at neutral sites. This is, I believe, in Brooklyn, isn't it?
Yes, both games we're covering will be in the Barclays Center in Brooklyn, New York.
Stadium, right. So they're 0-3 in meetings with Florida, 0-4 of the last 5 versus SEC opponents. And Florida Gators 6-3, 2-7 against the spread. Lost to Butler. That snapped a winning streak for them. They're 3-0 straight up, 2-1 against the spread in neutral games. Gorjuk Gak, who I believe is a character in The Mandalorian, that Star Wars show on Disney. But Gorjuk Gak is listed as questionable. Total over in 4 of the last 5. Florida -4. Total 132.5. Tony T, have your way.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take Florida. As we spoke before coming on, we've seen some line movement now up to 5, and I have to agree with that line movement. I like Florida here at -5 now. Gators' recent wins on neutral court to Xavier and Miami, I think that they're definitely the stronger defensive team. Are these Gators team holding opponents at 40% and 29% from 3? Offensively, they worked the ball well inside, and if you look at their shooting form over their past 5 games, 48%. But one thing with Providence, they have dropped 5 games, really bad losses and step-up games. I mean, they lose at home to Penn, dropped a 9-point decision, a really bad Northwestern team. That Thanksgiving tournament over in Anaheim, I think they call it the Wooden Classic, they lost to Long Beach State. They lost to Charleston. They got past Pepperdine by only 3 points. And I think you're very familiar with those teams out in SoCal, Nick.
I am very familiar with them all. But both of these teams have gone over in the last 4 or 5, actually. So you're thinking under on this one, though, right?
Well, I'm thinking more on the Gators side. I don't really trust the Friars shooting. This is the problem here with the Friars. When you look at Providence, they're usually a 3-point shooting team. When they're making their threes, they're pretty good, but they're not making their threes this year. Just 33%. They never have a lot of size. They're really thin-bodied, and they're not going to get much inside against Florida. That's why I cannot make a case for the over, or even the total here, because the Friars are just not making 3-point shooting. And you look at their shooting percentage away from home. You take a look at their neutral court games, their games on the road. They're making just 38%, and they fail to cover all 5 games on the road and in neutral courts. I got to take Florida here -5.
You know what, Tony? Burgers and beers, buddy. Burgers and beers. That'll put a little bit of meat on those guys, all right? Okay, next up. Temple Owls versus the Miami Hurricanes. Temple 7-2, 5-4 against the spread. Last outing, they beat St. Joseph's. I don't know if that's a big whoop or not. 2-1 2-1 straight up, 3-0 against the spread neutral sites, 1-2 with meetings with Miami. They're 6-1 though as favorites, and they've gone under the total in 8 of 10. For Miami, well, speaking of Gacks, they got their own Gack, Deng Gack. He's out for the season. Both the Gacks have gone away. I guess they got a bad case of Gack. On a 2-game winning streak, though, beating Alabama 84-74, 1-2 straight up, 0-3 against the spread neutral sites. They're over in the last 4 or 5. Temple are the favorites, but not big ones. It's 2.5 points favorites for Temple and a total pointage of 141.5. You got about a minute and a half, Tony, about a minute.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and take Temple here -2. They're the better defensive team. Boy, they just smother teams. They're holding teams over their pass.
Is that down to 2 now?
Yes, it's down to 2 now.
Okay.
Yeah, down to 2. -2. Over their past 5 games, Temple's holding teams just 34% shooting. They've covered 5 of their past 6 after blowing out St. Joe's, and they have some notable wins. You like this win. They went on the road and beat USC. Then they have neutral court wins at Texas A&M and Davidson. But Miami, losses by 13 points or greater in step-up games in Maryland, Florida, and UConn. They don't defend the paint very well. They struggle to rebound the basketball. They failed to cover 4 or 5. And past 5 games, allowing a 51% shooting. Give me the defensive team here, Temple -2.
Tony T, always a pleasure and a privilege. Great to have you on. Tony T, one of our star cappers at picksandparlays.net. By the way, he's got a great podcast. You want to check it out. You can also check out all the podcasts at both our site, picksandparlays.net, and at the Believe Podcast Network, BLEAV Podcast Network. We'll see you there. Coming up, we're going to talk a little NFL. The Duff Man cometh. Do not worry. Joe Duffy after the break. Welcome back, Picks and Parlays, here on the Sports Byline Broadcast Network, where we are each and every weekday from 4 p.m. Pacific. Well, excuse me, 4 p.m. on the East Coast, 1 p.m. Pacific. I'll get it right at some point. I'm your host, Nick Geber. We also stream live throughout the day on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Find me on Twitter at Nick Geber. Look, I promised you some NFL, and I promised you Joe Duffy, and we had to find him. We did drag him kicking and screaming from his weekly get-together with the boys. It was all mimosas and boggle, but we got him here anyway. Duff Man, thanks for showing up to talk a little NFL.
No, I was at the Division of Motor Vehicles getting my name legally changed on my driver's license to Sean, and now you tell me I'm back to Joe Duffy again.
Well, Sean, Joe, it's all the same as long as you're winning, right? And
That's
I believe
what we're
you
doing.
are.
Yes, that's what we're doing at picksandparlays.net, Joe Duffy's Picks.
All right, Joe, let's go. Let's get to it, shall we? Let's start. We have 4 games. Let's start with Texans. By the way, how was the mimosas?
No, I don't drink mimosas. I drink IPAs for sure.
Oh, sure you
Tropicalia.
do. Yes, you do. With the pinky? Yeah, you do. Okay. Texans at Buccaneers. You can regress that to the mean if you want. All right, Texans at Buccaneers. Texans 9-5, 7-7 against the spread, coming off a win over the Titans. 4-3 straight up, 5-2 against the spread. Both of those away from home. Total's gone under in 5 of the last 7. For the Bucs, 7-7, 5-8-1. But neither of these teams are really tearing it up, are they? I guess the Texans are having a better season. They've won 4 in a row, including Sunday's 38-17 win over the Lions. 2-4 straight up, 0-5-1 against the spread at home. Got a lot of injuries, though, Duffman. Bo Allen, Donovan Smith, Chris Goodwin, Scotty Miller, Anthony Nelson. They're all doubtful. Total's gone over an 11 of 12. I'm just wondering, with all these injuries for the Bucs, we've got a total pointage of 51. The Texans are road favorites at 2.5 points.
Yeah, and speaking of injuries, there's even some talk that J.J. Watt could return this weekend for the Texans. I mean, look, that's a possibility. They'd certainly like to get him some playing time before the playoffs if he can come back. They've been saying that he's been working hard, and there is that possibility he's going to play. Yeah, Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, both doubtful for Tampa, so that's one of the reasons where the look-ahead line was a pick, but now Tampa is getting 2.5. Evans is 67 catches, Godwin with 86 catches. So if both of those guys can play, suffice to say, humongous injuries. Look, Jameis Winston, talk about feast or famine, leads the league, of course, in interceptions, but when he's not throwing interceptions, he's making big plays. So it's either way. He completes it to his own team for big plays, sometimes to the other team for big plays. But if he's without those two big targets, he might wind up making some very bad decisions against this Houston defense, especially in that possibility that J.J. Watt could be in his face. Going against bad defenses off of a win, and Tampa would qualify in this situation to fade them 144, 86, and 5. So therefore, that would favor Houston. Also, well, Tampa has been tearing it up lately. They've scored 28 points or more in 6 of their last 7. And teams under those circumstances, though, are a fade of 79 and 49. So that would favor Houston. Also, teams in such a high-scoring streak go under 73 and 54. Houston, though, what I'm worried about, Houston, they might wind up resting some players. In the case of J.J. Watt, they just got to get him some reps, so they're not going to rest him. But they might wind up resting some players. They have not officially clinched their division. It would take a lot for them not to, but maybe, maybe they want to make it official this weekend. Still, all in all, especially with the Tampa Bay injuries, I will go with the small road favorite.
Or would you bring him on, let you get a nice lead up if you can do it, and then bring him off? You don't want to get him injured.
No, I think if anything, under the ideal circumstances, they'd maybe like to have him take about 20 snaps or so. But look, they're going to need him to go in a deep playoff run. And, I'm sure the doctors will check him out. But he's an absolute beast. But as far as him playing, the normal number of snaps, I don't know. The tea leaves, it's early in the week. I'm not so sure he'll play. I can certainly say he's not going to play, any more than half his normal number of snaps.
Well, I'll just give him a shot and put him back out there. He'll be good to go. Okay, next up.
Throw some dirt on it.
Yeah, exactly. Next up, speaking of injuries, let's talk about it. Rams at Niners. Despite losing to the Falcons, the Niners are still favorites for this one. The Rams are 8-6, 9-5 against the spread. They got murdered by the Cowboys 44-21, and they were 1-point road favorites. How about that one? They're 4-3 straight up and 5-2 against the spread away from home. The first time since 2016, the Rams have been road dogs of 6.5 points or more. Duffy, you look shocked. Or did we lose you? I think we lost Joe Duffy. We did lose Joe Duffy. Well, I'm sure we'll get him back because I'm looking at him on the screen and he's frozen. It looks like he's been cryogenically frozen, and that's good because we can unfreeze him when we need him. We are talking Rams at Niners. We were talking about the Rams. I said it's the first time since 16 that they've been road dogs of 6.5 points or more. And for the Niners, they're 11-3, 8-5-1 against the spread. They're coming off a very, very close 29-22 loss to the Falcons. But here's the thing with the Niners. They have a lot of defensive injuries. Richard Sherman, Quan Williams, Dee Ford, Julian Taylor, DJ Jones. They're all doubtful for this game, and that's a lot of injuries on the defensive side of the football. This is the defense that held the Rams to only 7 points earlier this season. I don't think it's going to look the same this season. Let's see if we can get Duffy back. If not, we'll bring in El Guapo, and we'll see what he has to say. He's been listening to the show, and, I'm not a expert handicapper, trust me, but he is. So let's bring Craig on, and we'll give him a microphone because we have one of those. I got one for you right here. Don't know what happened to Duffy. Maybe he got abducted by aliens, and they're doing that probing thing right now. What do you think?
I don't know about aliens. I'm not an alien expert, only a football expert.
All right, so let's talk about the Rams at Niners. By the way, welcome in great pinch hitter here, El Guapo, Craig Trapp. Craig, Rams at Niners. A lot of defensive injuries for the Niners. I mean, they're probably still going to win this game, but maybe that's what we thought last week, right? But what does that do for the total?
Well, I think it's more about the division matchup. These teams are built to beat each other. So I always throw the records out the window, injuries out the window. I mean, these teams play each other close. That's just what they are built to do. And I think the Rams are playing still for pride. And this is a team that was in the Super Bowl last year. The 49ers have already locked up the playoff spot, which is, of course, first time in 5 years. So if I was at this one, I would be probably playing the under here. I think it's going to be a lot closer game than what people think. And like I said, these teams are built to stop each other, built to play against each other. I think this is going to be a defensive battle.
Well, let's play this one on the fly because we actually have Duffman back. Why don't we put Duffman on along with you, and we can find you a way to listen to him, and we can go through. Can we do that, Andrew? That would be great. All right, so let's get back to Joe Duffy. Duffman. We lost you there.
I don't know what happened there. I couldn't hear. I don't know if it was on my
we
end.
thought you were abducted by aliens and you were in the middle of that probing thing they like to do. I think that's what
Yes, well,
heard.
I did that at the doctor last week, but that's another story altogether.
What, did you turn around and say, hey, Doc, next time it's my turn?
Yeah, that's for sure. I don't know why the doctor, had her hands on my shoulder, but
her. Okay. Listen, we're talking about the Rams at Niners here. Basically, got a lot of defensive injuries on the Niners, and I asked El Guapo, because he stood in for you here in that little segment, how that was going to affect the total. He didn't seem to think that was going to affect the total. What do you think?
Yeah, this is one of those where there are certainly some injuries here, but of course, get a little bit closer to game time to see how those updates are going. But I really like the side here more so than the total. Teams off of a loss as a large favorite are 101-70. That would favor the 49ers to bounce back here. Consecutive road games, team off of a loss, 3-15, 2-18-11. That would favor the Rams. And I'm finally going to use that term that you like. A late season regression, the mean based on ATS margin, is 140, 96, and 8. That would favor the Rams. And we talked about this last week, St. Nicholas, which surprised me. But going against teams that are a much better running team late in the season is actually a good play. Going against a superior running team is 82, 50, and 2. That would favor the Rams. And also, even more surprisingly, a defense that spent more time on the field. They don't wear down. At least if they do, the odds makers overreact. Teams that have spent a lot more time on the field defensively are 125, 80, and 3. That all points towards the Rams. I think the Rams, last week's game, they're greatly undervalued. Of course, the 49ers were upset too, but a lot more competitive against an erratic team. But the Rams look much worse. I think the Rams are a little undervalued, and they will cover the huge number.
All right, let's move on. Next game. Let's make it quick. I got two expert cappers here. By the way, special going on right now. $1.99, you get one. But if you want both, how are we doing this? Both. There we go. $2.99. How about that? I feel like a pimp, by the way.
College football bowls only, though.
College football bowls only. All right, guys. Ravens at Browns. Ravens. This is Beauty and the Beast. Beauty, 12-2, 8-5-1 against the spread. They won 10 in a row. They tonked off the Jets, 42-21. They lead the league in scoring, rushing, time on the field. I mean, and a whole bunch of other stats as well. They're 6-1, 3-4 against the spread away. They're 16-4 straight up against Beast, which is the Browns. They're just not very good. Sorry, Craig. Lost.
I hate the Browns.
Oh, you hate them. Okay, good.
Bengals guy.
Oh, yeah, Bengals guy. That's right. 24-38 to Arizona. I don't even need to give you this nonsense on the Browns. They suck. That's all you need to know. We've got total points of 48. Ravens minus 10, 10-point favorites. Let's start with you, Craig.
I think the key in this one is all going to be about the pride of the Browns. Obviously, not much to play for.
Do they have any?
Didn't play like it last week. Freddie Kitchens, maybe on the way out after one season. The Ravens, they still have a lot to play for here. Ravens going for, of course, the number 1 overall seed and need to continue to win and lock up this one. I think they lock up that overall number 1 seed. So I think if I'm going to play this one, I think you got to play Baltimore again. I went against them last week on Thursday night with all the points on the other side. Jets didn't even show up. I think the Ravens win and win big again.
Duffy.
Yeah, this is a bad spread team to a good one. The bad spread team is 193, 114, and 13. I'm sure, I don't know if Harbaugh is going to really show his hand or not later in the week, but you got to think if there's one player in the league that you want to give some rest. It's a quarterback that runs the ball all the time. I really think there's all the motivation in the world to be very conservative with Lamar Jackson. Put the reins on him. He's already set all the personal records. And home double-digit dogs in week 15 or later, 28-15, though, admittedly only 4-5 since 2014. I don't know. Like I said, if there's any player in the league that you got to think is they're going to be very conservative with until the playoffs, any team, it's got to be Lamar Jackson. And again, Cleveland's playing for pride. It's a chance to be kind of a little bit of a spoiler, go out on a high note, although, Freddie Kitchens, I think, is done, and it's really how much the players are going to play for him. But I haven't really heard that they want him out. They dislike him. So, yeah, sometimes you got to win ugly. Going to win ugly here.
All right, guys, they're going to win ugly. You talk about the Ravens are going to win ugly, of course, right?
Well, yeah, they'll win ugly.
Don't shock me like that. I'll fall off the back of this chair.
Ugly. Yeah. We're going to win our bet ugly.
Going to win our bet ugly. That's what I want to talk about. All right, guys, so there you have it. We have run out of time, so we're going to skip the last game. We'll bring it to you tomorrow, so don't worry about it. But I do have to say this. Craig, thank you for pinch hitting. Great to have you on. Duffman, always great to have you as well. These are two of our star handicappers, as well as the boss man himself, by the way. You can get their picks right now at picksandparlays.net. The bowl special, bowl games only, and there are a ton of them. How many? 40-something, Craig?
42, I think.
42, of which you probably only heard of about 10 of them. The rest are like the Camellia Bowl and the Tidy Bowl and the Yoshinoya Beat Bowl and all the rest of this stuff. But we do cover them all. They're a great way to make a little money, and our expert cappers are there for you. So right now the special is as follows. One capper, $199, all bowl games. But wait, you get two cappers at $100, $299, two cappers, all bowl games. Great deal. In case you missed any of our picks in this show, in this segment, don't worry about it. We're going to recap them, or I'll recap them, right after the break on Picks and Parlays. Welcome back. Picks and Parlays. I'm your host, Nick Geber. I hope you've enjoyed the show. We've given you a lot of free picks here on the show. And you probably missed some of them, and you probably listened to this going, oh, I wanted Triple B's NBA picks, but I came in late and I missed them. Well, never mind. I'm going to recap all the picks for you right now on the show. So in case you haven't been listening, and if you haven't, shame on you, but never mind anyway. Here they are. Let's start with Tony Bound, Triple B. Here are his picks. We started off with Lakers Pacers. He said, take Lakers -3.5. Then Kings at Hornets. Take the Kings -4.5. Magic at Jazz. Take the Jazz -5.5. And Suns at Clippers. Take the Clippers -12.5. All right, then we had on El Tigre. A couple of bowl games. A couple of NCAA basketball games. So let's start with the basketball. Florida versus Providence. This is the two games with the Gack brothers, neither of them who are playing. Take Florida -5. Miami Temple. Take Temple -2. And for the bowls, Central Michigan versus San Diego State University, Aztecs, not the Spartans, excuse me. Take the under 41. And then finally the Camellia Bowl. FIU versus Arkansas State. That is the Camellia Bowl one, right? Anyway, take Arkansas State -2.5. Did anyone even know what the Camellia Bowl existed until I mentioned it? But okay, Joe Duffy's NFL picks. Texans at Bucks. Take the Texans -2.5. Rams at Niners. Take Rams +6. Ravens at Browns. Take the points +10. That would be the Browns. And Saints at Titans, which we didn't cover, but he said take +2. Okay, there you have it. There are our picks. And just to make it easy, every day, Monday through Friday, we're right here on Sports Byline Live, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 Eastern, and streaming live throughout the day on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We certainly hope you will make us a regular part of your week, and certainly a regular part of your sports betting plans, because if you're going to bet on sports, you better bet with the best intelligence possible, the best sports information from the best experts and analysts, and we have them here at Picks and Parlays. Once again, College Bowl Special. All bowl games, 1 cap are $1.99, 2 cap is $2.99. Go to picksandparlays.net. Get it right now. Also, a lot of free picks for you as well. All right, until tomorrow, folks, enjoy the sports, bet wisely, and as always, bet, win, repeat.